Today we are going to study about protocols, and in this protocol we will study about TCP/IP, HTTP, FTP, SMTP, IMAP, POP. So these are the protocols which we are going to study today. First of all, what are protocols? Protocols are the rules that determine how data should be transferred over network, compressed and presented on the screen. So these are the functions which are basically done by protocols. So this determines how data will be flowing across the network, and it will compress the data and present it on the screen in a proper manner. So these are the basic functions of protocol, and in layman's definition we can say that protocols are the set of rules and regulations which are being followed by any network. Basic need of protocol is to standardize the processes and ways of communication over a computer network. So this will standardize the way data is flowing across the network, or how the communication is being established on a computer network. The first protocol which we have to study is TCP/IP. TCP/IP, this plays a very important role in network. So let us study the features of TCP/IP. TCP/IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. This is for TCP, and IP stands for Internet Protocol. So here TCP/IP, this is comprising, or this is made up of two protocols. One is TCP and the other one is IP, and they both have their different sets of functions. In general, these TCP/IP is used to connect various computers on the internet, and this provides end-to-end data communication. Now what is this? We'll try to understand that how TCP/IP provides end-to-end data communication. It specifies how data should be broken into pieces called packets, transmitted and routed from one network to another until they reach their destination. So this is the main method how TCP/IP protocol provides end-to-end data communication. So it determines the flow of data packets across network. Now what are data packets? Whenever we are sending any message across network, then that message is divided into smaller packets, into smaller parts, which we call them as data packets. Now this data packets, how they are flowing across the network and whether they are reaching their destination computer properly or not, this is being managed by TCP/IP. So this is how this TCP/IP provides an end-to-end data communication. Means from the TCP/IP is active from the sender computer to the receiver's computer. So both the end it is very active. Now let's understand the role of TCP individually. Then TCP is responsible for dividing the data packets at the sender side and for assembling at the correct destination. So here we can see that TCP is active both on the sender side as well as on the receiver side. How it is responsible? TCP first, this will break the data packets into, it will break the message into smaller data packets. So this is being done at the sender side, and when it flows across the network and reaches the correct destination, there also TCP plays a major role of assembling those data packets back to its original form, because once the data reaches the destination, it needs to be assembled, otherwise the user at the destination point will not be able to understand the message. So this is main role of TCP. Then we come to IP. IP, or Internet Protocol, provides a sequence number to each of these packets so that they reach their destination in correct order. Now we saw that the message is being broken down into smaller packets. So this, what does this IP do over here? IP will provide a sequence number to each data packets, so that when they reach the destination, then when they are reassembled back, then they should be arranged in proper sequence number. It should not be mixed up, otherwise the data which the receiver will get, that will not be a proper 1. So IP is doing a very major role over here, that this is providing a sequence number to each data packets. It also handles addressing of each packet so that it is delivered to the correct destination. So IP also does one more very important thing, that is this provides a address to the each packet so that that packet will reach the destination, the correct destination. So as we can see in this picture that how TCP IP works, here this is the sender computer and this is the receiver computer. Here we can see that data is flowing from the sender and this is receiving at the destination point. This is being received by the destination computer. Now we can see that this message is being broken down into many packets, as we can see that they are flowing across the network through the different paths. But when they will reach over here in the destination computer, then again they will be assembled back so that it reaches the destination computer in the correct form. Then the next one is HTTP. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It determines how different forms of information get transferred to our screen over the internet. This protocol defines what actions web servers and browsers should take in response to various commands. Now now we can understand the working of this hypertext transfer protocol from this diagram. Here this is the server, means from the server only clients, means client are the users who can request for any website. So suppose if you request for a website, so you are sending a website, what we do, we type a website's address in our web browser. Hope you all know what is a web browser. Web browser are like if you are having Internet Explorer or if you are having Mosaic or Mozilla Firefox. So all these are web browsers. What they help us to retrieve any website or any service from the server. So what we do, we are the client, means the person who is sending a request to the server for any website, they are called as client. So here we can see that this client is sending a request to the server. Now what the server will do, means here what we are doing, we are sending a request for a website. Then what the server will do, this will give a response to the client. How? By presenting that website on our computer screen. So this is the role of HTTP, means how this is being performed. This is being performed by the help of this hypertext transfer protocol. This protocol you must have seen if you are browsing for any website. You must have seen that in the URL means Uniform Resource Locator. This URL means the website address. There you can see there is HTTP, which indicates that this is hypertext transfer protocol, and this helps us to retrieve any website or to see any website on our computer screen. Nowadays we have HTTPS. Instead of HTTP, in most of the site we see HTTPS, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. This S stands for secure, and this is the secure version of HTTP, means this provides higher rate of security as compared to HTTP. So if your website it contains HTTPS, means it is highly secured. Now what is one specification about this? It's that here all communications between browser and the website are encrypted. Means whatever encrypted means they are coded. Means they provide a higher rate of security. Means if you are requesting for any website from your web browser to the web server, then that will be and that process, means how that communication is established, that will be highly encrypted. So this is about HTTP. Then the next protocol is FTP. This FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. It is one of the easiest way to exchange files between two or more computers. So FTP is mostly used to transfer file that will include both downloading and uploading of files using this FTP, that is File Transfer Protocol. Then this uses FTP client and FTP server software. Here we will see that these are the client. FTP client means the user who are sending. Here this is the FTP server. Here what the client can do, the client can upload any file on the FTP server, and they can also download any file from the FTP server to its system. This client can download also any file from the FTP server. Now FTP uses TCP/IP protocol to download software programs to our computer from other sources. So this FTP, they use TCP/IP protocol. So whenever this FTP client is downloading any file from the FTP server, then this will use TCP/IP protocol. So here we can see that FTP is mainly responsible to download or upload any file over server. Then next we have, that is SMTP, IMAP and POP. Now what are these? This SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. It is the common protocol used for sending emails between two or more servers. So whenever you are sending email, then which protocol is active over there? Simple Mail Transfer Protocol is active, that is SMTP protocol. Now what is IMAP and POP? IMAP stands for Internet Message Access Protocol and POP stands for Post Office Protocol. Now these two are popular protocols for retrieving email. So for sending email, SMTP is responsible, and for retrieving means to receive those emails, which protocol is responsible? For that, POP or IMAP protocol is responsible. So both IMAP, POP and SMTP are required when configuring email applications. So why both these protocols are required? Because one is responsible for sending emails and IMAP and POP is responsible for retrieving the emails. Now we can understand this from this picture. This is the sender computer and this is the receiver. So suppose if the sender is sending any mail to a receiver, so we can see that when the sender is sending the mail, then SMTP is functioning. Here you can see that when the message is flowing across the network, then SMTP is responsible. But when it reaches the destination person or the destination computer, then which protocol will play? That is POP and IMAP will be responsible to retrieve those messages. So this is SMTP and IMAP and POP. Now let's understand the working of IMAP and POP. Here we can see that what is the major difference between IMAP and POP. Here we can see this is showing of IMAP, and over here we have of POP. But there is a major difference between them. Difference is that POP downloads email from the server for permanent local storage. So POP, whenever we are downloading any message to our permanent local storage, means suppose our personal computer, so over there POP will be active. So this is Post Office Protocol, which will be active whenever we are downloading the message in our personal computer or permanent local storage. And how IMAP work? IMAP leaves them on the server and just caches emails locally. In other words, IMAP is a form of cloud storage. So, and IMAP, this provides a cloud storage, means it provides a virtual storage from where user can just make a cache, means a duplicate copy of that message can be retrieved by the user. So this is the major difference between IMAP and POP. It's that IMAP is a form of virtual storage, means it will provide a cloud storage, and POP will provide a permanent local storage to the email. So this is all about different types of protocols.